the feelings are not there, but you have a commitment and a determination, a decision that you have made. That's what I'll add to it.
Okay, because that's not our topic today. Let me
Yes.
skip. Because every time I always say that it's like an ocean. When we define love, it's like we're swimming in an ocean here. And every
Yes.
time I have people here, there's always a new perspective that they bring. And I love
Yes.
that. I love that.
Yes.
Yes, people say it's an affection. Yes, it's a feeling. It's all of that because you really must feel love. Whether
Yes.
you're giving love or you're being given love, it's something
Yes.
that you feel on both ends. So, yes,
Yes.
we can't take that away. But then by the time the butterflies are gone, it's a choice. You now have a
Yes.
choice. You make the decision to stay in love
That's true.
Yes.
and stay in the characteristics that the Bible has defined according to. By the way, let me tell our viewers that when we were growing up, our evangelist was our spirit coco. I remember when we heard he was
And I
getting
still get
married,
teased.
we were like, really?
I still get
And he
teased.
really touched a woman. Hey, anyway, sorry. Okay, I won't expose you
I
further.
still get teased though, and he still gets teased because
No, they still tease him about it. Oh my
yes,
god! Oh
yes.
my god! He was a Holy Ghost man.
And I've asked him, what did you do? What did
Oh,
you do that
he
make
was
he
one of
has
those
refused to
brothers that we
confess?
greet with. You know how brothers greet each other with speaking in
Eh,
tongues. They greet in the Holy Ghost. Okay, let's leave the matter. But
eh, mm,
my joy is
mm,
that he's still glowing. He's still,
yes,
growing. He's still blossoming in that spirit.
yes,
He did not get
mm,
married and then, marry a woman who come and kill
mm,
his vision,
mm,
his growth in God. And that's
mm.
where, okay, woman to woman, don't be angry, brother. I
Mm.
appreciate you, Sister Priscilla. Thank you. Because
Thank you,
God
ma.
has used you, and the fire is still
Mm.
burning. A lot of
Thank you, ma.
brothers we know who started out like that and they
Mm.
fizzled out once they got married. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's true. That's
I
true.
appreciate your
Mm.
love. I appreciate the
Mm.
love
Mm.
of both of you
Thank you, ma.
and your service to
Mm.
Yes.
us. Let's come to the topic of the day then.
Mm.
Separation.
Mm.
Separation. So,
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
there are two aspects we want to look at today. The first is separation that comes unplanned. Let's put it that way.
Mm. Yes.
So we have to do a long distance relationship, either
Mm.
because one person is living in a geographical location that is currently impossible to be where the other person is,
Mm.
or they have to go and work. And this is why you are here, because I know Emmanuel has gone on a lot of transfers. I think he's still on
Mm.
Mm.
transfer right now.
Yes. Yes.
So he's living not fully with the family. I also
Yes.
started as a married woman, for over the very first 10 years or so of my marriage, having a husband that was not always there because he was
Mm.
going from one part of the country to the other. So, firstly, long distance relationships, do they work?
Mm.
If yes, I mean, okay, first of all, is it advisable? I mean, should we be talking about it in the first place? Would you advise it?
Well, you see, some things in life are circumstantial, and when you're faced with certain circumstances, some of which you have not planned for, the the responsibility and expectation is for you to handle and deal with it well. And long distance relationship is not something new. It's something we that has been with us. In fact, it is right from even Bible days, things like that occur. Sometimes the soldiers will go on war and spend some years in the bush fighting. They have
Hmm.
families. They have families, right? And that is long distance relationship in a sense. It got to a point when they were close by, David would have to take food to his brothers. And trust me, his brothers, some of those soldiers, a number of them were married they have families, right? So it's not something that is new, and circumstances may bring it. But this scripture says in First Corinthians 10:13, it says that there is no circumstance that comes to you that God has not made provision for your ability to be able to handle. Whatever
Okay.
circumstance you are faced with, maybe that is God wants you to pass through that circumstance excellently to give an example to another. And so sometimes these are existential situations that you probably may not have planned for. It's not something you dreamed of. All of us, when we were planning to get married, we didn't think that we wanted our spouse to be away, but sometimes it happens, and so these things we see amongst us. On a general note, whether it is advisable is not something we should even think about, because there's nobody who I know who has advised it. I've not even seen a couple who were planning marriage, and they were planning that when we get married, I want you to stay in Jos while me, I want to be in UK. I don't think any, I've never seen any, there's nothing, it's totally abnormal for you to see a set of arrangements in that way. So it is, whether it is advised or is advisable is not something we can talk about. But the truth is that these things occur, and our responsibility is to find solution and then give the requisite advice, especially based on experience that people can be happy about, and then they can say, well, these things, however it happened, the possibilities of going through and having the best of relationship, even in the circumstance, is possible. That is very possible. And let's not even demonize long distance relationship in a way. There are some, as the discussion proceeds, you discover that there are some benefits in it as well.
Oh,
So
okay.
I think I will stop there for now, because I'm sure your questions as they come on will look at some of those benefits.
You're already going there. Okay, good. Now your husband is talking about marriage. People are already married. Let's first start with those who are not married. So we are engaged or dating, but he's in London, I'm in the US, or he's in Jamaica and I'm in Nigeria. Is it advisable? Why would you not just date someone within your geographical location?
Like like it is often said, the heart the heart chooses who to love.
Wants
So
what it wants,
sometimes,
right?
yes, sometimes you are not the one that
For
determines
sure, yeah.
who you fall in love with. It
Mm.
comes naturally. And sometimes it's also the prompting. If one is a believer, is the prompting of the Holy Spirit that leads you in that direction. So if it is God that is leading you, you will know there must be something that can be worked out. And about the heart, you cannot say, no, I must fall in love, or I must end up with somebody that lives in this geographical location. We don't, most times we don't have we don't have such luxuries. So if it happens like that, the next thing is, what is your individual vision? When you're able to work out your vision, what do you want in life? That should now guide that person in knowing what next to do. If your vision is to build a career, what is the other person's vision? Are you willing to relocate? Is one party willing to join the other? So that is for a relationship, that is for marriage. But if it's a relationship, is it going to be a lifelong relationship that is leading to marriage? Because sometimes people just enter relationship and they don't have any definition. They say we are looking at it. You are looking at what? I don't know what they are looking at. Because yes, and somebody has entered her 30s, somebody has entered his 30s. You are looking at relationship. I don't know. So if such is defined, then you quickly start planning. How do we reach a middle ground? But there must, at the end of the day, there must be compromise. You have to compromise and let go of some things. The other party too has to compromise and let go of some things. Then now, when you have decided on that, then you can now start working on steps to make sure your relationship is sustainable, because now you know you have a time frame. If you say, okay, we are getting married in the next year, in the next 12 months or 18 months, then it becomes more bearable. If you are getting married in 18 months or a year or 6 months, because you are planning, you are talking, you are getting to know each other more, you know, you have less, then it will be interesting and things will go more smoothly. That's what I'll have to say for relationships and that have not yet that have not yet, and for relationship and not marriages. That's what I would
Thank
say.
Thank you
Yeah.
very much. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I hear you
Yeah.
and I hear what you're saying, and
Mm.
I agree with you.
Mm.
However, I think it's a trend now. I mean,
Yeah.
I know someone
Yes.
who just said to me of recent, I'm just going
Mm.
to take my family and leave
Yes.
them in UK and then continue my
Yes.
hustle in Nigeria. It's becoming a
Mm.
trend now where
Okay.
Yeah.
people take family, just especially
Mm,
with all
mm.
this and the issues in Nigeria. Okay,
Yes.
Yes, yes.
I have businesses, I have things I'm doing in Nigeria. But just for my family to be safe, then my wife and children can go and live in the US, or my wife and
Mm,
children can go and live in Germany while I am in Nigeria. And like evangelist has said, we know that it can be circumstantial, but we're saying
Mm.
today that we don't advise it.
Yes.
uh if a circumstance prompts it, would okay, no, let me ask my question. Would we say that's a justifiable circumstance when someone is saying, for example, Nigeria is not safe, or this place where we live, let's not just Nigerianize it, this place where we are is not safe, but I have businesses here, like another example, South Africa. Sometimes all of the xenophobia and some
mm.
people are established there. So they are saying, okay, I'll take my family out of this place that is not safe, but I would remain. Would you advise that? Is that one of the circumstances where we can advise families to stay apart or be separated?
Well, that's also work. Sometimes this one as it stands now is created. It's created by the individual. It's not work in a sense, like somebody in the military or somebody whose office has effected a transfer of one of the parties in the marriage. As much as I would say it is not wrong, even if we don't advise it. And again, I will speak. Some of these things, they are dependent on individuals. As a person, I'm innately a family person. I love to be family. I enjoy it whenever I'm with my children, my wife at home, you know. So transfer is not something I've ever enjoyed. It's not something I'm excited about. I don't know why. There are other persons I've seen, one or two, who seems to enjoy it. And if the purpose is right, then maybe there are a few individuals who really are naturally like that. But generally, it's not something we would have advised.
Okay.
We are committed as Christians to family. We want families to be built up, to be established, and to set examples for others. So the
Okay.
idea of taking my family to a different location and I'm here because of business, frankly, if it is a personal decision, it's not something I will advise. You would have to convince me otherwise and tell me how you are led in the vision God gave you such directive. Truth, I'm telling you. I'm telling you because the way in which God made families, I don't think that was ever his initial plan. That was never his intentions at all. Right?
Okay.
Now, if you
Okay.
tell me that the circumstance have warranted it and that it is a temporal matter, I will also appreciate, I will agree. But to say that it is your decision and it's something you believe and you're ultimately pursuing, I will tell you, if you're a Christian, you need to substantiate what you're saying from what God has told you on this matter. And I don't think anybody would easily defend that kind of a move, especially if it's on a permanent basis. Because somehow you are separating the marriage and there will certainly be consequences. There will certainly be consequences. If you started together with your wife and you're separated at some point, it cannot be as it used to be. There must something be a loss. There will definitely be a loss at some point, right? So that is what I feel personally on the matter.
Okay. Okay. Let's come to separation due to conflicts or issues before I give you a shocking statistics, because
Oh,
in talking about this, I tried to do a bit of research, first of all, to find biblical support for separation, especially in
mm,
marriage. We can find biblical support for separation of brothers. Abraham and Lot, for example. God gave that approval and said, let there be no strife, we are brethren. All man go your ways. Haggai and Sarah, talking about Abraham again, God saying, look, this problem in the house now is too much. Let Haggai go, as Sarah has said. So if we want to use that as a base in marriage to say, now there's conflict, there's issue, these two people staying together is maybe worse than, I don't know if it can be worse than being separated. Let me not use that word, but you know what I'm trying to say? Is it can we encourage separation as a method of healing conflicts in marriage?
Well, you see, anyhow you look at it, right? The Christianity is not a religion; it's a life.
Yeah.
And that is why even certain things that are not written black and white in scriptures, but you see the practice, right? The Bible offers solution to such situations. By way of counsel, by way of guidance, we will get solution. Personally, I believe that there may be 3 reasons why a couple may have to separate. We all know that number 1, right, that separation is one of the steps in the divorce process. That is not it's a step in the divorce process. That is number 1. Number 2, we know that these things happen sometimes, even if it's temporal, however temporal. I had a misunderstanding, or a couple has a misunderstanding, the husband can walk out of the house. It may be for 1 day. My friend, is separation.
Okay.
Even if it's for 1 day, it is separation, right? And his intention may be to gain perspective on the marriage. The woman can leave, the wife can leave and go to her parents' house out of anger because there's a misunderstanding. That's separation. Even if she does 2 days outside, it is separation, right? And the intention is, I want to gain some perspective on the marriage. Let me review. Let me think about what has just happened. Sometimes the man returns back and discovers that what his wife was saying that led to the misunderstanding, she was right. When at the cool of the day, his head has calmed down, he will discover some truths, and then he will come back, and you imagine that they'll make up and then get on, right? So even if it's 1 day, that's separation. Another 3rd reason is that, and this is perhaps the question you're asking, as a therapy to enhance the marriage, as a therapy to enhance the marriage, these things, we have seen them in practice. We have also seen results in it. And we have no passage of the scriptures that contradict it, that says it's wrong, it's not right. Now, let me even give you what is shocking, because the church of our time have come to accept some of these truths. Most have come to accept that, especially when a spouse in the marriage has become threatened, the life is threatened, right? Then advisedly there should be separation. When either the man or the woman's life has become threatened in that relationship, and you cannot guarantee, I think that I don't think there is any religious inclination now that would allow for that. Otherwise, there are cases that are replicate today, and then even the church have had to regret some of the decisions it took over 1 or 2 issues like that. So these are the 3 main reasons why this thing is with us, and this thing is not out of place. It happens, and then we can get results out of it.
Yes, Sister Priscilla, your 2 cents to add to your husband. So
all right. The main thing I wanted to say, he has already said it. If there's threat to life, and if there's threat to mental stability, because sometimes the threat is not physical, is emotional and psychological. And you see, I was telling my husband the other day, there is an increasing number of spouses, especially women, that are under mental stress. You see them, they behave abnormally. Some people be talking to themselves on the street. Some are not behaving. They cannot keep a job anymore because they have issues. They become depressed.
Let me interrupt you.
Yeah, yeah,
Why is that? Why is that? Because I agree with you.
yeah,
There
yeah,
is an increasing number of
yeah,
people who are psychologically unwell. And
yes,
unfortunately, in
yeah,
a country like ours back home,
Mm.
yeah,
where
yeah,
Mm.
there's no emphasis on mental health, I
Yes.
think a lot of people are dying. They are dying, and they are dying quietly. And why is that? Is it just the economic crunch, or what?
Abuse.
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 yes, yeah,
Yes.
yeah. The thing is, some spouses have discovered that going physical will raise alarm very easily. You go
Mm,
physical, there's evidence. So they will not go physical. So they go emotionally, torture the person emotionally, say things, degrade the person. And the person that is on the receiving end may not have the capability or the capacity. Maybe they have not built themselves up mentally, or they don't have a support system outside of marriage, or their spirit is not strong enough. They break down. So people need support system. Even as much as you are married,
mm,
everybody needs a support system, a positive one, not the one that will go and feed you. Is this what your wife did to you? If I'm the one, I'll do that. Is this what your husband did to you? No, a positive support system, and each person should be committed to growth. Am I growing? Am I improving? Am I getting stronger in a positive way by the day? Because whether we like it or not, if the economy the economy is biting hard, then you have issues in marriage that you have to deal with. Because the older you get in marriage, the more issues you have to deal with at the same time. So we have to also, each individual should be committed
Let me
to
just
growth.
add. Let me add that apart from the mental stress
Mm,
and then the effect on the psychology of the individuals,
mm,
we are living below ourselves.
mm,
mm.
As individuals, we're living below ourselves because the marriage will sometimes frustrate the vision that you had. A woman
Mm.
may have had a great vision to actualize here on earth. There is something that God deposited. There is no individual that God has not a ministry for, that God has not a vision for to accomplish or achieve. We are not here by accident. We are here for a purpose. We are here
True.
to solve a problem, right?
Yeah.
Now, when you get yourself yoked in a marriage that is abusive and does not help you, the truth is you will never accomplish your purpose here on earth, and you get to heaven unaccomplished, right? By the time it is given to you, and they will tell you this is the reason. Look at it, because the marriage has caged you. It has uh, it has brought you down below your capacity to be able to function, and that is also another critical point, that you don't see people are actualizing themselves or fulfilling the vision and the purpose while they are on earth here. Largely, I must tell you the truth, largely it is marriage.
Hmm.
It's not
Okay.
economy, it's not finance, it is largely marriage.
Okay. Okay. I think we are trading. We're swimming in some waters that I don't mind because these are the things that keep me up, truthfully, at night as a person. I I wish, and it stems from a change of mentality. I wish that I had the magical power, and I know this is just a wish because even God gave human beings choice. God does not
Mm,
remote us. But I wish that I had the power to
mm.
change the mentality of a lot of people when it comes to marriage,
mm,
Mm.
especially in our African setting. And when some of us say it, they think it's because, oh, you got married early, you have been
mm,
blessed, you have a good husband, or you have a good wife, or maybe you have the best of marriage. You know, when you come and see the work it takes, yes,
Yes,
sometimes,
yes.
When we're growing up, some people will wish they had your husband. I would say, okay, I wish you exchange for some days so you can. And then some people who
Experience.
are wishing, yeah, some people are
Yeah.
wishing, they're seeing me on this platform. Oh, all of
Yeah.
the knowledge, and they're wishing that Sister Comfort was their wife. You can't, maybe you can't bear me. You can't bear me for
Yes.
1
Yeah.
month. You don't know what this
That's
man is
true.
taking, for the
Mm.
Yeah.
marriage to be this way that it is. It takes
Yes.
work. And if
Yes.
you're not going to be committed, I like the way when she was defining love, she talks about the fact that love is supposed to build you, bring out the best part of you. Okay? If you're not going to be committed to this person, committed to building their life, brother, sister, get away, get out. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
no spirituality about this. This is not about speaking in tongues. You don't make heaven by marriage.
Yeah.
I know many people don't like me anymore, but this is the truth. We have to tell ourselves.
Yeah.
You don't make heaven. God is not going to ask you, oh, sister, why did you not marry? Or why did you
Yes.
marry? Or why did you stay in an abusive marriage and then you didn't fulfill your purpose and then you got
Yes.
killed like the sister, the great musician that we lost in
Yes.
Nigeria? As far as I'm concerned, she died not fulfilling her purpose. That
Yeah.
That
woman
is true.
a bigger star than she was.
Yeah.
I mean, look at the short time, how much of lives she's affected, But she's gone. She's
That's
gone.
true.
And she would have still been alive now, blessing people. So I get what you're saying. When we're talking about separation and we're encouraging it, people think, oh, we're talking about divorce. We're not talking about
No,
divorce.
I don't understand.
And we're not saying don't stay in your marriage. We're saying work in your marriage to keep your marriage. But if your life is at risk, brother, sister, and I mean it when I say brother, because some brothers are also living a very frustrating life. They
That's
have
true.
people who are frustrating them in every capacity spiritually. I was just, praising Priscilla now. There are women that the moment you marry them, both spiritual fire, financial fire, all will die. No progress. And some men are still there living that kind of life. Okay, so let's come back. Let's come back to how this separation can help us. I am one proponent. I am one person who proposes separation in marriage. However, I believe that it has to be planned. People are talking in the background. I believe it has to be planned. It has to be structured. Let me use that word. So as to meet its purpose. What do you think?
Well, yes, certainly. Before I proceed to give 1 or 2 points about some form of a guide or guidelines for enhanced separation, you made a quote earlier. You said that you cannot make heaven by marriage, by being married. But you should have completed the quote. But you can definitely make hell by being married. Right? So that is the. In fact, it seems like it is about the quickest way to make hell.
Oh, go to hell! Oh my God!
Yeah. So you
That's
need
not
to
good news
complete
at all.
that quotation as part of our giveaway for this edition, because that is the truth. So be that as it may, there are a few things. You see, separations, for it to be effective, has to be planned. You have a purpose. There was about 2 years ago, my wife suggested a retreat. It was just we're going to be 10. She was suggesting a retreat, as in 2 of us should just go get away. And the purpose of the retreat she was proposing was not for merry making and all that. It was a retreat, that kind of a spiritual awareness. You get there, we have to ask ourselves questions, review the marriage, and then tell us, eventually we could not hold that because I think the airlines frustrated our plans to travel that period. Now, what I'm trying to say is there has to be a plan. You have to have an agreement. And then I'll just read out a few lines, just tell us a few things that I think will help us in the process of separation. One of it is that I believe strongly, I know it has always been said, you're married, let no third party interfere. It has often this it is, and the way it is said over the years, it's no longer helping us,
Thank you.
and we have accepted it religiously.
Mm.
Whether we are dying, don't bring a third party. You want to report me to your father, you want to tell me, talk to me to your mother. And the
Your
truth is
pastor.
that this is one lie that has not helped us. I'll put it that way. Get a third party to help, to support. Even if you're going for separation, you have to agree on a third party. There must be somebody you can trust. There must be somebody your wife can talk to, right? Even when we do normal, these days is not common. Those days it was almost a rampant thing for somebody to be suspended in church. There is a system in play for that suspension to be successful.
Yes.
There is an arrangement the church makes. Okay, you deacon, you have to visit him today. The other person, you visit him the other day. Why are we doing that? We are not throwing our brother away. We are not frustrating our sister to leave the church. The intention is to help build his character, and then he will return to the church stronger than he was.
Amen.
We don't kill our wounded. That is not Christianly, that is not godly. So there has to be, get a third party. I know in the Western world where you are and several other persons, you have counseling homes. You have marriage counselors. This part of the world, it is not yet strong, right? But our counselors are pastors who do a whole lot of carry on a whole lot of responsibilities. There has to be somebody you trust that can guide you through the process. The second other thing is that there is a need to set clear and reasonable expectations. When you want to make your separation positive, you want to achieve results out of it, right? This is between two of you, and we just need a break because this is happening now, and we need to review this marriage so that we can make progress. If one person is the one always calling is one-sided, it will not help us also. And there is a goal in separation. What is your goal? There has to be a goal, right? I'm okay with the separation because I know this is like a retreat for me. I'm going to review myself, think about the marriage. If the other party's goal is from here I don't go, there's a problem.
Yes.
There's a problem. Your goals are not aligned. And so one party will be frustrated trying to make things work. The other party's mind is already made up and you don't know. You see, that's why you're a couple. The reason you were married, when you went through a number of classes before you got married, one of the critical things your marriage should have earned by now is sincerity. And by the way, what are you lying to yourself for? If you say you're no longer interested, say who will beat you, who will kill you, right? So just be sincere, just be truthful. At your age, there is no need. What is the lies? What is it all about? You're self-deceiving yourself. You're deceiving yourself,
Good.
right? Sometimes when I'm talking to my wife, I tell her, Madam, I know they fear you. You see me like this. I know they fear you. This thing, I will say it to you. And so she's learned that. And there's something we don't do. That is lie.
There's
If
no
I'm
love.
saying something,
There's
she
no
said,
fear in love. The Bible says there's no
no,
fear.
no. There's no fear. I said, I will tell you. If you ask me a question, I will tell you. What will you do to me? We are two sinners here now. We have to keep forgiving ourselves. That is the marriage. Somebody was, my brother was preaching in church yesterday. We had a wedding, and was saying, you married a wife, and then somebody comes and says to you, the interference that affects wedding is, say, maybe a prophet comes and tells you your wife is a witch, and then you accept. Sometime marriage, after 10 years, your wife is suddenly a witch. I was on my seat, I was just laughing. I said, my wife is a witch. That's a plus for me now. Easy to marry witch. What do you mean? That for me, I just told myself that's a big plus. He tell me, I say, my brother, 10 years old, you fit? You no fit now. Huh? So some people don't understand these things. My decision is my decision, and I'm intending to pursue it to the logical conclusion. Right? There are other points, but let me just allow my wife chip in the point, and then if there are others we can say before the time is up, we'll continue.
Time is running very
All right, I want to say something about the kind of relationships a spouse should keep, or the partners should keep during that time of separation. in as much as it's good to have a support system, you should also be careful. The Bible says iron sharpens iron. If you surround yourself with people that don't like your wife or your husband, you are definitely bound to hear this. The other day, she even did this thing to me. Self. Now, wow, I said, make I not tell you that time. The other day, I even saw your husband here. Such people, you don't need them around you at that period. You need people who can speak faith to you, people who can encourage you, people who can make you see the positive side of your marriage and want to make it better. So, in as much as you are undergoing separation, you're the kind of support system you choose. Very, very important.
Let me add one more point. We're looking at guidelines for enhanced separation, right?
Yes.
Guidelines
Yes.
for separation that will be positive, that will
That can
lead
be
eventually to
positive.
a stronger marriage. Let me add one more point, and that is to say that during the period you have to maintain a regular communication. You have
Okay.
to maintain a regular communication. Yes, it is necessary for this type of separation, even for the long distance relationship as well. It is communication that is a major key in the success of every relationship. Because if you starve yourselves of that communication, and it's not one-sided, only one person is calling. No, it means that only one person is committed to the success of the process. It has to be both ways, right? Because if you starve yourself of communication, you see, there's a term. It says absence makes the heart fonder.
Bruce Fonda, yes.
Absence makes the heart fonder. But the truth is not when communication is missing. If communication is missing in that respect, it will become out of sight, out of mind.
Mind.
It
Okay.
becomes out of sight, out of mind. So there
Okay.
has to be a balance, right? If you remember the importance of communication, it means you have to sustain it so that indeed, because as you talk to each other, you develop that intimacy again, right? Every day he's calling, every other day. And initially, if the quarrel is still strong, it may not be, you know,
May not
conducive.
come
It may not be a
naturally.
merry-go-round situation. But as time goes on, you keep hearing her voice, hear his voice. Today, morning, evening, you're calling and you start the day and then end the day together. It will go a long way to ensure indeed that absence will make the heart to grow fonder.
Okay. I want
Mm.
to chip in something too. There should also be an agreed time frame. There's a support system, a third party support. It should be
Okay.
agreed on how long do we want to separate, because indefinite separation will almost time lead to divorce. So there should be a time frame. It may not. Each partner should agree. They should both agree on we want to work this thing out in 1 week or 1 month. Then when you have that in mind, it can now become less because you have a target. So if you say 1 week, it may get solved in 3 days. uh, so that should also be considered.
And
Yeah.
sometimes two of you may agree. For instance, we had advised earlier, we said get the third party to be involved. You may have chosen that person. You may even choose individually. Okay, I'm talking to this person, I'm talking to this person, and then both of us know who and who we are talking to, right? But you may also choose, okay, you may decide, do we need to see a counselor during this period? And then how often do we do it? And that is probably the contact point at some point. Okay, do we need to see a counselor? It's something both of you will agree. Okay, let's see a counselor. Let's both of us at this point agree to go and see. Yeah, oh, I spoke with this man because you have agreed. He pastor this or this other distinguished brother who has a track record, and then he's our friend, and then he's concerned. And we have to just both agree as to whether to go see that counselor in the process of that separation, right? There are many other issues you resolve in agreement. There you may have joint bank accounts. How do you want to attend to that? You may have children. How do you want to attend to that as agreement, right? You may also have to decide where to stay. It's easier for you guys over there in the UK and the US
You
and the
think so?
Western world.
It's not
Let
easy
me
for
tell
you
you
guys.
why I think so. Let me
Tell
tell you why I think so. And I was
tell
telling my wife, we were discussing this point. You know, some in those places, the owner of the house seems to be the wife, the woman. Let's even say Okay, let me tell you why it's easier for us in Nigeria here. If that's not the case over there, right? If the man is the owner of the house, let me tell you what I will advise. Is the owner of the house, he has built as the case is in most parts in Nigeria and in generally in Africa, right? If somebody has to agree who is going out, I think it's obvious. It is the man that should go out. It's the man that should leave the house. This is just a personal advice. Why? Because they say where your treasure is, there your heart will be. So naturally, if I'm the one that have taken my bag and I've gone out of the house, where am I going to stay? I leave the house for my wife and my children. Naturally, I know that my investment is that property, is the house, is everything in there. It means it's another commitment on my part to ensure to stick my foot down and say this is for a purpose. I'm not from there going out of the marriage. But if the other way around, it becomes a little bit
Okay, now
troublesome as to where. So
I get the picture. Yeah, I get the picture you're trying to paint. I was
you
getting,
understand?
yeah.
Mm,
And but funny enough, in this place, uh, yeah, the men gets kicked out even when they are separating, even when it's not this kind of separation we're talking about. Just any kind
mm,
of issues, and there's going to be divorce. There's going to be issue. Usually, the man is the first person they pick out. If there's domestic
mm,
violence, they take the man out
mm.
first, especially in situations where you, for example, have children. They want
Mm,
to provide a roof over the head of the woman and the children, ensure that they have a
yes.
place to stay. They always feel like, I think generally, that the men can on their own survive, wherever
Mm,
they go,
mm.
which is easier. But I have one more question before our time is almost up. I have one
Okay.
more question I want us to look at. So we've talked about this, and everything sounds beautiful. Um, but we must understand that separation can be a make or mar thing.
That is
Uh,
true.
if it's not properly done, it can actually be the end of a relationship or the end of a marriage. It can be the death of it. I mean, statistics has proven that long distance relationships, 60% of them fail.
Yes,
So it can be the beginning of the end, or it can be the beginning of a better relationship. Now,
that's true.
my question is, if there's constant conflict in a relationship and only one person is seeing the need for separation, how do they go about it? Because sometimes you might just have a man who is saying, I'm not going anywhere. When you're saying, oh, we need to separate, like you were just saying now, it's
Mm,
advisable for the man to leave. The man is refusing to leave. And the woman, okay, maybe, or the woman too is the one refusing to leave. One of them is saying, I don't even see the need for this separation, or I don't understand what are we separating for? You know, how do you go about now getting this person to come on board to see the need for it or the beauty of it?
okay. You see, generally, I would say, frankly, we don't generally encourage it as much as possible, but situations over time has led us to, because I think statistics also reveal that about 80% of it don't survive it. So that means, you see, and thankfully, it's not something that is um, well, if the people that have practiced it over time or for some time now, thankfully, are very knowledgeable persons, right? I'm talking about Africa. I don't know much about. They are knowledgeable persons who are intellectuals and understand how these things operate, and then they have succeeded with it, and then there has been results. Now, if two parties, I think the first thing I will ask them if they are willing to go for counsel or counseling. Are they willing to go for counseling, right? The first thing is to recognize there is a problem. Once somebody does not recognize any problem, I don't think there is little or nothing you can do to help that person. It's possible to recognize the problem and not agree with my solutions or what I'm profiling as solution. It's very possible. But the progress is that you have recognized at least that there is a problem, right? And then through discussions and counseling, if the person is willing to go for counseling, I think that the possibility of being able to convince them on this option is there. Otherwise, will they sustain a regular counseling and succeed through that? Because somebody may have a different reason why he does not want separation. He may have a strong reason, as a matter of fact, why he does not want separation. Remember, two parties are involved, right? You have studied your spouse for a time and you know the possibilities. So sometimes you may be you may be overprotective ignorantly, but sincerely. So when we find out that reason, it may help us. But generally, if they can agree to a counseling session, that is a start. That is a good start. In which case, it will not be one session, it will not be two sessions. They will have to go over and over. Whoever is helping them will have to help them over a period of time. Now, it is the success of that process that would help determine, and they too will see. You know, when you are failing, you will see it. You have failed. We have done this process for you for about a week or two. This is the result. We are not getting we're not making progress. So naturally, it means you should think about the other option, which I'm talking about, which is separation, and how it's going to impede and help. And then when you see a good structure laid down on how that process will go, I think that people who are cranial, who can at least reason out and think, we see when they see points, it will be clear to them and they will eventually come to terms with it. That's what I feel.
Stop, Priscilla. Want to add?
All right. If the other person doesn't see the need for separation, sometimes you explore other means. The truth is that most time before separation comes or when there's conflict is because we have not exhausted all that is within our capacity. You know what used to keep your marriage strong. Why not explore such options? Like talking to the person in a cool manner, in a romantic way. You can appeal to the person's emotions positively. You know how you were when you started your relationship, when you were in love and all that. You can appeal to that person's side. And no matter how hard that person is, if you keep at it, the truth is that nobody wants to do the dirty job. If you are willing to do the dirty job, sometimes you don't have to go through that. So if the person is adamant and say, I don't want to go for separation, the other party should look for a way. Are you ready to lay down your pride, do the dirty job, appeal to this person's emotion? Sometimes when there are conflicts, it's not really the conflict, it's just that this person feels my needs are not being met. So if you can meet such needs, you may not need to go for the separation anymore. But sometimes we don't want our feelings to be hurt, we don't want to be rejected, we don't want to be talked to anyhow, we don't want to feel that I'm the one that wants to be in this marriage more desperately. And that is our pride. Yes. So
You know, the question I always ask is, and I'm going to be very blunt, some people might not like this. You have seen each other naked.
Yes.
Both of you have seen your nakedness. Please,
Yes.
what other pride are you protecting?
I don't know.
I don't know.
It doesn't make sense to me. I don't know what pride I'll be protected from a man that I have been sleeping naked with for 20 years. Hello? This person knows all the parts where the stomach is. It's not the one that we girdle up. It's not the one that I girdled up. I came out and the figure 8 is there. He knows all the stretch marks. All the stretch marks. You know? Then I will not be forming. Right. It does. I mean, does it make sense really? And you're spot on. You're spot on. This is one of the major problems we have. People don't want to, you know, we have this funny ego. Oh, I don't want to bend my head down and do the work. And so our generation would rather throw away something good than work at it. And so we just keep hearing stories of divorce. Somebody gets married 1 year, they are done. The worst is this social media announcements. I hate it.
As if it concerns us.
Hello? I hate it. And this is the problem. Let me tell you what happens. Once they've gone public with it like that, pride will not allow them to take the person back.
Yes.
They are dying in silence. They are missing this person. They are not going. They regret their decision. But the whole world already knows that I came and I called him a useless man on social media. So how can I not take back a useless man? They will say, oh, you don't know what I mean. Hello, live your life and be happy.
That's true.
Social media can be a blessing and it can be a curse. If you
Yes.
don't use it properly, it's beautiful, it's good. We can reach each other, we can stay in touch. I mean, we're using social media right now. We're broadcasting.
Yes.
A lot of people connect from everywhere to this platform thanks to social media. However,
Yes.
you don't have to bring your problem and all your business to social media, people.
That is true.
Yeah.
Let's stop it because it's breaking us, this generation, you know, because if we were to have problems, just me and my husband, and maybe an organized third party who is helping us, it's easy to resolve things within us.
Yes.
But by the time we have spread it and we have announced it, like you were saying, some people will now remember, oh, when I came to your house that day, that's how he was doing his face like this. He's a very, very wicked man. And this one will now remember 2 years ago, you know, they start putting fire putters.
Yes.
And some
Of
of these
course.
people are actually envious of you. You know,
Yeah.
That's true.
they
That's
want
true.
you to go. I mean, I saw it was a joke, but it's not a joke, it's the truth. I saw a caption of a man who was saying to the wife, one of these videos, I'm done, you know, and then he opens the door and he walks out. And by the time he came out of the door, there were over 7 other guys waiting in front of his door.
Yeah, I saw that.
When he said he was done, these guys were fighting themselves to go in. And one of them said, bruh, you want to leave that fine babe. Thank you for leaving her, beg. It's our toilet. And the man
Yeah.
So what
There's one point. Okay.
What we have is enough. What we
Yes.
have is enough if we can actually work at it. It's
That
not
is true.
perfect anywhere. I always say it on
No.
this platform. I'm not the Love Crusader because it is perfect in my house.
Yeah, that's true.
No. I'm learning, I'm unlearning,
Yeah.
I'm relearning.
Yes.
The problem we have is when we don't have that learning mind, that
That's
open
Yes.
mind
Yes.
to do better, to learn how to do things in new ways, you know,
That
to
is
work
true.
at it. This is where we have the problem. And we have said it on this platform. It doesn't mean that you are not spiritual if you have to
Of
separate.
course.
And there's one point I want to make.
Yes.
I know some people, but some of these things sometimes they are spiritual. Yes, sometimes conflicts come and there's a spiritual angle to it, whether we like it or not. Especially if you are from a broken home, you have to take note of that and be extra careful. Because, and sometimes you see it playing out, what played out in your parents' marriage, before you know, it's coming for you. So you have to be spiritually sensitive also. And sometimes it's the same timing. Some people, their parents got separated 8 years into marriage. The 7th year of their marriage, unreasonable and fierce conflicts start coming that they cannot explain. So one has to be, you have to know where you are coming from and do extra work. So sometimes like that.
Totally agree with you. That was my last point. I was already typing it before I started saying it. I was
Okay.
let it be a time of prayers, you know, even
That's
during
true.
that separation, because people might not accept. And yes, we know that marriage is 80% physical, but there's also the spiritual aspect. There's that blood bond that comes from, you know, like a cycle that repeats in some homes.
Yeah.
In fact, even the issues of domestic abuse that we talk about all the time, we now hear that scientifically it's in your DNA. So if a child is born in a home where the parents were abusive, the tendencies for this child to do the same. It's now scientifically proven. So how do you break away from such, you know, if this was how you were brought up? So totally agree with you. There is the role of prayers, and there is the time to say we are restructuring, we are re-strategizing, we are looking at ourselves again to make things better. We are also praying. Okay, 5 minutes into our time, I need to let you guys go. It's always too short for me when I'm having fun here. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
and you've
Yes.
shared really great insights with us today. Please, even if you were not able to join us live, you can come back and watch the video later. There's a lot of wisdom here. If you're having issues and you want to take separation as a strategy, you need to talk to someone. Please, you can talk to me. You can talk to Evangelist Ojabul if you're in Nigeria and his wife. One thing I've not told people is that I'm a licensed Christian counselor. Yeah.
Wow.
I got that qualification some years back, but I don't announce it. So if you talk to someone, by God's grace, we can guide you and we can work with you, to ensure that it's not all broken and thrown away.
Yes.
In
Yes.
this generation, let's try all ways and all means possible to be able to fix it and have the marriage that God has determined for us. Thank you so much again for coming. Thank you, viewers, for joining us. This is how much our time can take. I truly, truly thank you all for your comments. God bless you. We're going to come next week with our Q&A session. So if you have a question, any questions at all about marriage, about relationship, please go to our Facebook page and drop your question. There is also a WhatsApp number on the Facebook page. If you rather prefer talk to me, share WhatsApp, drop your questions, and we'll try by the grace of God to answer it as much as possible. Thank you again for coming, the Ojabulus.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
I appreciate you all. God bless you. Thank you so much. We love you and we miss you.
We miss you more.
We miss you so much.